Now we are turning on to the next batch of our side event. Here we are having for three presenters. First, I would like to have Ms. Gwendan Tu Cook, National Ozone Coordinator or Deputy Head, Division of Greenhouse Gas Emission Reduction and Ozone Layer and Protection of Department of Climate Change of Natural Resources and Environment, Monterey, Vietnam. Ms. Cook, you have the floor for your presentation.
Thank you, Kata-san, for your introduction. So as introduced, my name is Cook. I'm working for the Ministry of Environment, being as the newly appointed National Ozone Coordinator for a year so far. Thank you for the organizers to give me the opportunity to present here today. It's a great pleasure to present some facts and information about the management of FRs in Vietnam. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So, well, we all know that the FGARs, among which I think we have to refer to HFC, which is our major concern today, are being used in a wide range of applications, and mostly it has been shaped from the Kyoto Protocol to Montreal now in order to make further progress, and has been used as alternatives to replace ODS like CDC, CFC, HALONG, and HPFC for the time being in many applications in refrigeration sectors, mobile air conditioning, etc. Also, the HFC is quite high potential for global warming and exists very long in the environment. So for that reason, it is really important to put it under an efficient management manner. And that would lead to my second. So I think the concern about FGARs raised up since the Kigali Amendment was adopted in 2016. Japan is one of the most active countries by the adoption of a particular law on FGARs, and followed by the launch of the IFL, and also taking into particular consideration, Vietnam has taken progressive steps in order to ratify the Paris Agreement, the Kigali Amendment, and lately we just joined the IFL by initiated by the Japan government in 2020 in October. We also have got some progress in terms of updated the NDC in Vietnam that has been adopted recently in July 2020, and that indicates the intention of the government to reduce 9% of greenhouse gas emissions, and that would consume to about 10 to 1.2 million of CO2 equivalent compared to the previous INDC. So that is considered a very major step for us to take to bring FGARs and particularly the HFC into regulation system. So the phase down of HFC will contribute to the target of not only the NDC but and also through the Kigali Amendment. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. How is the HFC consumption in Vietnam? Well, from one of the studies that we've conducted in 2017, has been studied in cooperation with the World Bank. It has shown that Vietnam is not a producing HFC country, but that may not be the case for now because we will have to redo the surveys and it to be more specific and probably some of the companies have now started with production of HFC. So that will be what we have to update and to consider in our management plan. HFC is rapidly increasing the usage in the country and being used mainly in manufacturing and servicing sectors. They are also contained in finished products, so which are the different criteria that we will have to pay attention to when developing the management plan for HFC in the country. And from the recent A7 data that we reported to the Montreal Protocol, that we have an amount of 3.7 million metric tons of HFC being reported. But I believe that this figure is a lot higher in 2020 because we have got some reduction in HCFC, and that has dramatically lead to the change in HFC consumption in the country. Can you move to the next slide? So let me take you through a little bit of what we have been through with the Montreal Protocol implementation in the country. We start joining the protocol in 1994, and there have been a lot of efforts in line with the international community to phase out CTC, halongs, and CFC. We have achieved that by 2010. In 2012, we start with the phase 1 of HCFC phase out management plan. And by 2017, we have completed this project, this first part of the plan, and successfully reduced 10% as agreed with the multilateral fund. By 2018, we start with the second phase of the HCFC management plan, with the target to bring down to 30% of the baseline consumption in Vietnam, and it is now being implemented. In 2019, we ratified the Kigali Amendment, and it brought up some obligations that we have to follow in order to control HFC. With that together, in 2020, we have come up with a policy that brings down the HCFC under control to be in alignment with 30% reduction of baseline consumption, and also issue the HFC licensing system for HFC in the country. Can you move on to the next, please? So in order to join the Kigali Amendment, we have to develop a roadmap for implementation. And from the steps that you hear now on the screen, there will be a number of different activities that we will have to conduct. The first two we have now covered in our current policy. For example, the licensing system for HFC, and we include the list of substances that are being controlled. But what we would need to do in the coming time would be to define the consumption baseline so that we will comply with the roadmap for A5 countries. And also that would need to come up with the freeze year from 2024. We will have to identify the consumption level, and our regulatory framework will start from that time on. So there's still a lot of things moving on from now until 2024 that we will have to bring up in order to implement Kigali Amendment. Can you move on to the next one, please? Okay, so as briefly introduced, that Vietnam has just approved the revised environmental protection law, and that has one particular chapter on climate change and one particular article on ozone layer protection. So it was just approved on 17 November, so it was like 10 days ago. And within that article, there has some provisions that would need to further detail after in 2021. We would need to go for a decree and some circulars to guide implementations of this environmental protection law. Can you go to the next slide? Yes. So the decree that we would need to focus would again setting rules for the licensing system, the operation mechanism among the different government agencies, because HFC control is not only within the management activities of one single entity, but many others. So we may have to include other sectors involved, and the roadmap actually will have to be identified for different sectors, for productions and for import-export of controlled substances. We would have to look at the data and reporting requirements, and what are the requirements, information needed from different government agencies, and what is needed from the import-export manufacturers. We will have to detail in the decree. Plus, there would be a lot of concern related to the that would also go to the safe production, use, collection, and recycle of the advice of the controlled substances, training, certification of technicians, and other circulars for the management of the list and the phased out plan that we will have to adopt in 2021. Next one, please. Okay, so last but not least, we have to join the IFL initiative by the government of Japan on October this year, and to discuss with our colleagues from MOEJ to establish a cooperation action plan for 2021 and beyond. And that would help us in terms of facilitate advice management in the country. And these overall actions could be contributing to implementation of our NDCs and the revised law on environmental protection. So I think that is the major things that I would like to share with you, the steps that Vietnam is taking, and I appreciate the opportunity to present it here to you today. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cook. Congratulations, first of all, for the revised environmental protection law. So that was a very informative presentation. Now I would like to invite Mr. Fuji Shintaro. He is from the Asian Development Bank, working on this matter as well. Fuji-san, you have 5 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Kato-san. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Shintaro Fuji from Asian Development Bank, ADB. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I would like to speak about ADB's engagement in fluorocarbons lifecycle management. First, I would like to introduce ADB briefly. ADB was established in 1966 as a multilateral development bank. ADB provides loans, grants, and other services to developing member countries of ADB in Asia and Pacific. ADB's commitments last year was about $21.6 billion US. As a long-term, next slide, please. As a long-term corporate strategy, we have a Strategy 2030, which was published in 2018. In particular, ADB's operational priority 3, which is shown in the upper right corner with green leaves image. That priority 3 puts emphasis on tackling climate change, building climate and disaster resilience, and enhancing environmental sustainability, which is relevant to fluorocarbons management. Strategy 2030 established two targets. First, at least 75% of the number of ADB committed operations support climate change mitigation and adaptation by 2030. And second, climate finance from ADB's own resources will reach $80 billion cumulatively from 2019 to 2030. We believe these areas remain highly relevant even as we strive to be open economies affected by COVID-19. Next slide, please. In line with ADB's strategy, we are a signatory to the IFL and joined its launching ceremony at COP25 last year. ADB has initiated two actions to contribute to the objectives of IFL. First, ADB has approved and started technical assistance (TA), including fluorocarbons assessment and workshop. This TA's title is Regional Support to Build Virus Resilient and Energy Efficient Centralized Air Conditioning Systems. Second, we are preparing a new TA for fluorocarbons lifecycle management, which is titled Promoting Fluorocarbons Lifecycle Management. First, this approved TA will support developing member countries, DMCs, to improve energy efficiency, mitigate the risks of virus transmission, and ensure safe working conditions in public buildings by developing efficient, clean, and smart centralized air conditioning systems. The TA team will assess the energy efficiency and virus transmission risks of centralized air conditioning systems and make appropriate recommendations and pilot the operation of smart, energy efficient, and disease resilient centralized air conditioning systems in selected DMCs. This TA includes hydrofluorocarbon lifecycle assessment for selected public buildings in DMCs, which have not been decided yet. Also, online regional workshop on energy efficiency and fluorocarbons lifecycle management is planned. Next one is also we are proposing the new TA, which will support some DMCs to promote fluorocarbons lifecycle management in a holistic manner. This TA is under preparation and has not been approved yet, so its contents are subject to change, but this TA would include assessment of current policies, the survey on advanced technologies suitable for local practices, recommendations to address fluorocarbons lifecycle management, such as national action plans and investment opportunities, and awareness raising on fluorocarbons lifecycle management. We hope that we will start this TA from early next year after TA approval. In relation to the investment opportunity, which could be one of the outputs in the planned TA, I would like to introduce a financing scheme, Japan Fund for the Joint Crediting Mechanism, JFJCM, one of trust funds administered by ADB. JFJCM provides grant for adoption of advanced low-carbon technologies in ADB-financed projects. So next slide, please. And the next slide, sorry. Yes. And JHM provides grant for adoption of advanced low-carbon technologies, and JHM is a bilateral carbon market mechanism initiated by the government of Japan. So the current TA would seek new investment opportunity, including JHM co-financing. And this is the last slide. In conclusion, ADB will further strengthen its actions through the two TAs. Through these TAs, ADB will support DMCs in planning and implementing national actions and promoting private sector engagement, as well as building capacities to implement concrete actions and developing new investment projects related to fluorocarbons lifecycle management with possible ADB financing with co-financing from the JHM to incentivize the investment. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Fuji-san. It's really exciting that ADB is preparing for the TA, and also like there's a financing program that's a very powerful tool to support fluorocarbon management. Now, the third presenter or speaker is Mr. Nuruddin Yaru Mahmood. He is the principal chemical engineer of the Federal Ministry of Environment, Nigerian government. Nuruddin.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to stand in for the National Ozone Officer, Engineer Idris Abdullahi, to present this end-of-life management of fluorinated gases in Nigeria. Next slide, please. Nigeria, over the years, we have been implementing the Montreal Protocol's ozone depleting substances phase-out projects. Actually, we ratified the protocol in 1988. So since then, we have been active in Montreal Protocol activities. On the area of management of wastes or end-of-life fluorinated gases, we have tried in such areas as establishment of the Halon Bank. We actually have a technology innovation center, which we call the Ozone Village in Nigeria. The Ozone Village is a center that promotes indigenous ozone-friendly technologies. So in this Ozone Village, we have facilities where we manage wastes, end-of-life fluorinated gases. So in the 2001, we had an approval by the MLF at its 31st ESCOM meeting, a bilateral project between Nigeria and the GIZ to carry out a survey of installed halons in the country. So following that, in 2002, the project was approved for development of a halon bank management plan in Nigeria. So the objective is to install a national halon bank to help the country to reduce its consumption of halons and meet its freeze year of 2002. The main fluorinated gases that we have managed so far are the CFC12, CFC12, HCFCs, halons 1211 and 1301. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, the CFC12 management that we carried out was actually a pilot project, which was approved at the 67th ESCOM meeting of the MLF. The project actually aimed at disposing existing stock of CFC12 collected from oil companies and chiller installations. So the project also aimed at building capacity of operators in waste management, collection and destruction of ODS waste. So the focus of the project was actually to destroy CFC12, like I said. Actually, initially, the project was designed to destroy these stocks overseas in the US or in Saudi Arabia. But with the emerging technology discovered by the National Ozone Office through their monitoring missions, we discovered an indigenous company that has that technology to destroy the waste CFC12. So that company was approached and the destruction was carried out using the rotary kiln incineration technology. Next slide, please. Next slide, okay. The picture you are seeing is showing the site where the waste CFC12 were destroyed. You can see the rotary kiln incinerator used. It has two chambers, the primary and the secondary chamber. Actually, it was designed so that the incomplete combustion of the CFC12, the challenge of that incomplete combustion will be eliminated through double burning using the primary and the secondary chamber, whereby we now eliminate dioxins and furans that would have emerged through the destruction process. So this is actually an indigenous technology. The plant was designed in Nigeria. It was operated by Nigerians, and it was successfully destroyed and tested to have high destruction parameters. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, presently, we have an opportunity through the KSEP project on improving energy and efficiency in the cooling sector. Under the window 2 of the project, we have an activity to transform the market of inefficient rack equipment. So this will lead to promotion of a large-scale rebate program, whereby we take stocks that have these fluorinated gases that have HCFCs, HFCs, then we now replace them with energy efficient stocks, equipment that have, for instance, hydrocarbons, CO2. So the stocks, the inefficient stocks that have these fluorinated gases, of course, they are going to be, collected, recovered, the recycling and reclamation will take place. So, and these are things that we hope to do in Nigeria. But we now have some challenges which may impede this. The main challenge is that if you look at the workings of the MLF, most of what they support is, phase out commitments, activities tending towards phase out of the production and consumption of HFCs, HCFCs, and HFCs. But now, to destroy these stocks, the MLF is not actually supporting that. So that will be a great challenge. And we hope that as we start implementing the HFC phase down plan, where we intend to, have stocks of HFCs and possibly, manage them. We hope that we'll use the experience we gain through this KSEP window. We are going to use that experience to, seek for support from for funding to actualize the HFC management, end of life HFC management in the country. So in my conclusion, I think developing countries can do better if they have support from international organizations to manage their end-of-life fluorinated gases. It's a short presentation. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Nuruddin. A very nice presentation. And also you presented for the very tangible actions on the ground already implemented. That is fantastic. And it's a good example for all other developing country colleagues. Now, we received lots of questions or comments, and we would like to introduce all of them. However, because of the time limitation, we are unable to have your presentations. However, we would like to ask these questions to the panelists later, and then we would like to upload the answers in the MOEJ's website later. But one thing I would like to ask, because everybody is interested in finance part, and then because today we have a privilege to have a financer, financing organization, Asian Development Bank. So my question on behalf of the audience is that because disposal of fluorocarbon is not actually funded by multilateral funds, and that this is going to be a very big issue for developing country colleagues. So that there is any venue, for example, like by working with the Asian Development Bank, can we access to finance to destroy fluorocarbons here? So this is questions to be put to the financial institutions such as the Asian Development Bank. So Fuji-san, please.
Okay, thank you for the question. So ADB, as a member of IFL, is making efforts to support developing countries to access finance for life cycle management of fluorocarbons, including destruction of fluorocarbons. As I presented earlier, we can provide technical assistance, TAs, to support developing member countries in enhancing fluorocarbons life cycle management, and including identifying possible investment opportunity. And ADB can also provide loans and grants from various funds, including JFJCM, to sovereign and non-sovereign projects in developing member countries. Sovereign projects mean that governments of DMCs are borrowers, and non-sovereign project mean basically private sector is a borrower. And in terms of JFJCM grant, for example, we can develop a dedicated investment project to replace air conditioners using fluorocarbons in existing public or private buildings to collect the fluorocarbons from the replaced air conditioners and to develop facilities for destruction of the collected fluorocarbons, either as a packaged model project or as a component in a project involving construction of buildings. This kind of project should be eligible to JFJCM grant support. So we aim to identify potential projects to be financed by ADB through TAs to help developing countries to access finance. So we hope that ADB can contribute to developing countries through these engagements as activities under IFL. Thank you.
Thank you, Fuji-san. I am very happy to hear that the ADB is willing to contribute, already actually is contributing to the IFL activities. So we look forward to further actions, including financial investment and TA. So today we have heard lots of interesting activities that are going on. And then first work plan of the IFL for 2021 has been presented and ready for implementation. And also we have the other sister or brother initiative presented by CCAC or ECI. I think this kind of partnership is really important for us to strengthen our fluorocarbon management, especially with life cycle management approach. And also we heard like partner countries and also countries for 2 countries who are engaged in fluorocarbon management and also climate change mitigation. Well, that they are resonating well with each other. And I think this movement is going to be even bigger and bigger. I hope the year of 2021 is actually a really good start of IFL, first of all, but also expanded partners and also stakeholders. We can join our efforts together to achieve fluorocarbon management, also decarbonized society in future. So this is my wrap up of today's discussion. Now, as on behalf of our important partner of CCAC, I would like to invite Nathan Borgford Panel, who is the Regional Assessment Initiative Coordinator of CCAC. Nathan, may I have you as the final speaker? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm deeply honored to be able to close this very important event. I am speaking on behalf of the head of our secretariat, Helena Molin Valdez. She apologizes. She was unable due to unexpected events to join us. So I'm stepping in for her today. And I realize that we're running a little late, so I will try to be brief in my closing remarks. I'd like to say, one, we as the CCAC, in fact, are heartened to hear of the excellent examples of action in Nigeria and Vietnam, and we know there are many more examples of action and interest in life cycle management of fluorocarbons in most of the countries of the world. Also heartened to hear some of the financing examples and the interest in the ADB to facilitate more rapid uptake of destruction technologies and policies that can facilitate efficient and cost-effective destruction of these high GWP and ozone depleting refrigerants. Since 2012, the Climate and Clean Air Coalition, along with all of our partners, has helped lead the effort for fast action multiple benefits through the phase down of HFC refrigerants in the Montreal Protocol. Our coalition was honored in 2017 by receiving an Ozone Award for political leadership in recognition of the efforts of ourselves and really all of our partners to push the adoption and ratification of Kigali. This was a coalition-wide success, but we know that there is much more to be done. And this is why our partners, as Clarice said earlier, led by France and Japan, founded the Efficient Cooling Initiative in 2019, with the aim of doubling the climate benefit of the Kigali phase down by improving energy efficiency in parallel with the phase down of HFCs. This is also why we have joined with Japan to help launch and support our sister initiative on fluorocarbon lifecycle management to ensure that these super pollutant refrigerants are properly managed throughout their entire life cycle. Finally, however, there's important new context this year which has radically altered the trajectory, I think, of the entire world, and that's the global pandemic, COVID-19, and the response to it. It's really changed our relationship, particularly with cooling, by highlighting the importance of the access to cooling and refrigeration as an essential service, facilitating people's well-being, and facilitating access to fresh food, particularly during the lockdowns. And it's certainly going to be critically important to support access to the vaccine once it becomes available. In this context, choice of refrigerant, the efficiency of the equipment and the refrigerants and the life cycle management of those refrigerants is even more important, and even more important than we already recognized its importance, before the pandemic. The Climate and Clean Air Coalition, with all of our partners, looks forward to working in close partnership with Japan, the IFL, France, and the rest of our key partnership to support fast action and multiple benefits, particularly as countries look to build back better from this current crisis. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here today. Thank you, Japan, for organizing this important event, and we look forward to many more going forward.
Thank you very much, Nathan. And also, I would like to thank all the speakers who made really great contribution. And also, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of the audiences, participants who participated in this meeting from all over the world. So let's move on. Let's work together for fluorocarbon management. So with this, I would like to close today's side event. Thank you very much.